to mention here, if you take a look at last year's playoff, a full quarter of last year's playoff, Boise, Indiana, SMU, Arizona State, all were unranked and all made the playoff. That being said, there's some underrated teams out there waiting for an opportunity to pounce. Sam, let's begin with you. Underrated in your estimation?
Indiana Hoosiers are underrated at number 20. Why do I say that? Curt Cignetti is one of the best college football coaches that I've seen. You saw what he did with a less talented team last season, and a lot of his coaching staff is still intact. Brian Haynes, who's their defensive coordinator, is leading again a top 10 defense, returning guys like Aiden Fisher. And oh, by the way, offensively, they have transfer quarterback Fernando Mendoza, who was at Cal last season. Fernando Mendoza is an elite level processor. We saw what Curt Cignetti was able to do last season with Curtis Rourke. I think Fernando Mendoza will have similar success.
Sam, I really like that pick. Curt Cignetti is a guy that knows how to hit the portal. I am going to go with Texas A&M. Obviously, they're ranked here as well, but I think that they're a team that can really creep up and make some noise this season. Look, I like a good football team with a big offensive line. They average 6'6", 333 pounds on that line. They're healthy in the running back room again. Le'Veon Moss is going to be back. Amari Daniels, Reuben Owens. I think Marcel Reed can take a leap. I know they lost some weapons on the outside there, but they added Casey Conception, who is really, really talented at NC State. They were upset about losing him, and I think that we'll be able to see why this year with what he's going to be able to do. Hopefully you see Marcel Reed take that step in that passing game. I realize defensively they were a little hit or miss. I think they're going to be more hit this year.
All right, speaking of teams that were hit and miss, you can start well, but it's all about how you finish. 18 times in the last 20 years, a preseason top 10 team has been unranked, has ended up in the top 10. So that's interesting to kind of see how that works. A lot of times it's a team that we think is going to be great and isn't. All right, Sam, let's begin with you. Give me a team that kind of falls into the category of what we're seeing on the screen.
The Florida Gators. And people are going to be mad at me about this, but let me tell you why. Florida plays 12 teams this season. 7 of them are in the top 25. 4 of those are in the top 10. They have a brutal schedule. They play number 1, number 5, number 9, number 10, 21, 24. It just doesn't get easier. No. Oh, by the way, A&M. I understand that DJ Lagway is extremely talented. If he has a season people expect, he could be in the Heisman Trophy conversation. But there's just too much to overcome when you look at their schedule. So Florida's a team that right now in the top 25 when the season starts. I do not think they will be there when the season ends.
Yeah, all you can do is shake your head at that schedule. I don't know how anybody is supposed to be able to go through something like that. I'm going to stay in the SEC, Sam. I'm going to go with Tennessee. Look, I think that we're going to see perhaps the best defense of the Josh Heupel era, but I think given what we saw this offseason with the quarterback trade, essentially, right, between Nico Iamaleava and Joey Aguilar, is going to be a little challenging for Tennessee. I think Joey is in 3 years. He also had a little bit of turnover issues last year, and that was playing Sun Belt football. Coming into the SEC is going to be very challenging, so I'm a little concerned about that, including some of the losses they also had at their skill positions, at least at wide receiver. I think they'll still be able to make up some of what Dylan Sampson brought for them at running back last year, but given what we saw with that switch in the spring, I'm concerned about Tennessee.
Holly, I want to discuss this with you as the fellas have kind of weighed in on those teams. I want you to weigh in from a global perspective. This is your 30th year on the sidelines of the biggest sporting events that we all watch. You've seen many iterations of college football. I wonder where you think the sport has been in the travels that you've seen and where it's heading with the perspective you can add.
I think a lot of us that are OGs, and by that I mean we're old in college football, we sometimes sit around and lament the changes, but Nick Saban has a wonderful quote that we've got to learn from the dinosaurs, adapt or die. And so I actually think it's really important for us to change. I have been a huge proponent of an expanded playoff for my entire career. I thought that the 12-team playoff has made some excitement, brought in fan bases, and players. Like, think about the excitement we saw with Arizona State last year. We wouldn't have gotten to know and fall in love with Cam Scatterbo like he deserved if we hadn't have this expanded playoff. So I think there is a lot in college football that's got to improve just from an administrative standpoint. You know, we don't want to see pay for play and the roster changes and shifting changes of rosters that we're seeing. But I do think college football is healthy in this regard. People still love it. The traditions are still intact. And while the conferences may shift, the passion and excitement is always there. So I'm adapting. I'm going to be like the dinosaurs and adapt as we go. I think I'm leaning into what's great about college football, which is talent, tradition, and the excitement. And we have all three of those things this season.
No doubt. Well said. Holly, hang tight. We're going to have you, Harry, and Sam back in a bit to discuss the team to watch. And Holly's going to see 6 of the best here in the first week and a half. Pick a game, pick a team, give us some intel.
I think the most exciting team right out of the bat is going to be LSU at Clemson. This is a monster game, 9 versus 4. And here's what I'm watching. This is from my good buddy, the researcher Tim Beret, who works for Clemson. You know, Cade Klubnik is a young man whose sophomore year really struggled with turnovers. He improved that last year, 36 touchdowns to just 6 turnovers. He was going to be going against a really revamped, depth-improved LSU defense. Everybody's raving about the two deep on this LSU defense. And so I think that is really the matchup. Is can Klubnik be smart, play clean against a good defense? And also, Harold Perkins Jr. is back. I've been told from people who went to practice that it doesn't look like he had ACL surgery at all. He'll be playing the star position. So watch out. If he can roam free in that defense, that'll be interesting.
Sharon Moore, Michigan's coach, went to Oklahoma. Kind of fun to keep track on that. All right, guys, give me one team real quick on the way out the door that you're watching. Harry, let's start with you.
Zubin, Georgia Tech, their schedule's not as daunting as it's been in years past, and a lot of people have made a lot about the transfers that they've added, but it's about the law firm, baby. Jamal Haynes and Haynes King. Haynes and Haynes, Georgia Tech is going to have an opportunity, as long as those two guys are healthy, to beat anybody in the country.
Yeah, and as long as Lenore Sellers is back at quarterback for South Carolina, they can beat nearly anybody in the country. They won their last 6 games last season, and this year they're starting off with an easier schedule. They don't play a ranked team until game 6. So that gives Lenore Sellers and this offense time not only to gel, but to build confidence, the confidence that they had to end last season. So South Carolina, Lenore Sellers, number 16 with the Rec Specs, that's the guy you need to watch if you're watching college football.
Pretty amazing. Lenore Sellers was a 3-star kid out of the state of South Carolina, didn't even get offered until late. He'll be a story to watch, and he'll be on the Heisman list. Just a reminder, our Reporter Week continues on Tuesday with our Molly McGrath, Wednesday, Chris Button, Thursday, Katie George. But it all began today with Holly Rowe. Holly, thank you so much for being here, adding your perspective, and we'll see you tomorrow afternoon right here at 2 p.m. Eastern.
This is football. Guys, I'm in Detroit, Michigan. We're doing a Lions episode in a couple of weeks. We're banking interviews now. You're really going to enjoy it. However, today's episode is the Buffalo Bills. Deion Dawkins, Brandon Beane, Ray Davis. Got a lot of insight into this team. We know they're going to be one of the best teams in football. I really enjoyed my time in upstate New York, Pittsford, New York, outside Rochester, where they go. It's cool. It's not 95 degrees there. They got a pretty good setup, and obviously I'm expecting big things, and so are they. Ladies and gentlemen, Deion Dawkins. All right, Deion Dawkins is here, one of the best linemen in football. What's going on, buddy?
What it do, man? How are you?
I'm doing great. We'll start here. Most fun thing you did in the offseason?
X Games. X Games was pretty cool. I got to meet a lot of guys. Tony Hawk, Ryan Sheckler, like just some of the guys, man. It was just like a kind of like a childhood reality, like holy smokes, like these are really these guys.
Did you skate when you were a kid?
Yeah, I still skate now. Actually, more so